Chapter 36, What Mig Carried. And while the mouse slept, Roscuro put his terrible plan into effect. Would you like to hear, reader, how it all unfolded? The story is not a pretty one. There is violence in it and cruelty. But stories that are not pretty have a certain value too, I suppose. Everything you know, having lived in a world long enough to have figured out a thing or two yourself, cannot always be sweetness and light. Listen, this is how it happened. First, the rat finished once and for all the job he had started long ago. He chewed through Gregory's rope, all the way through it, so that the jailer became lost in a maze of the dungeon. Late at night, when the castle was dark, the serving girl, Miggery Sow, climbed the stairs to the princess's room. In her hand she carried a candle, and in the pockets of her apron were two very ominous things. In the right pocket, hidden in a case they should encounter anyone on the stairs, was a rat with a spoon on his head and a cloak of red around his shoulders. In the left pocket was a kitchen knife, the same knife that Miggery Sow had used to cut off a tail of a certain mouse. These were the things, a rat and a knife and a candle, that Mig carried with her as she climbed up the stairs. "Gore!" she shouted to the rat. "It's dark, ain't it?" Yes, whispered Roscuro from her pocket. "It is quite dark, my dear." "When I'm princess," began Meg. "Shh," said Roscuro. "May I suggest that you keep your glorious plan for the future to yourself? And may I further suggest that you keep your voice down to a whisper? We are, after all, on a covert mission. Do you know how to whisper, my dear?" "I do," shouted Meg. "Then please," said Roscuro, "please institute this knowledge immediately." "Gore," whispered Meg. "All right." "Thank you," Roscuro said. "Do I need to review with you again our plan of action?" "I got it all right up here, in my head," Meg whispered, and she tapped the side of her head with one finger. "How comforting," said Roscuro. "Perhaps, my dear, we should go over it again. One more time, just to be sure." "Well," said Meg, "we go into the princess's room, and she will be sleeping and snoring and snoring. And I will wake her up and show her the knife and say, 'If you does not want to get hurt, princess, you must come with me.' And you will not hurt her," said Roscuro. "No, I won't, because I want her to live so that she can be my lady in waiting when I become princess." "Exactly," said Roscuro. "That will be her divine comeuppance." "Gore," whispered Mig. "Yes, her divine comeuppance." Meg had, of course, no idea what the phrase divine comeuppance meant, but she very much liked the sound of it, and she repeated it over and over to herself until Roscuro said, "And then?" "And then," continued Meg, "I will tell her to get out her princess bed and come with me on a little journey." "Ha," said Roscuro, "a little journey. That is right. Ha, I love that understatement of that phrase. A little journey. Oh, it will be a little journey. Indeed it will." "And then," said Meg, who was now coming to her favorite part of the plan, "we will take her to the deep downs and give her some long lessons in how to be a serving girl, and we give her some short lessons on how to be, and she gives me some short lessons on how to be a princess. When we are all done studying up, we switch places. I gets to be the princess, and she gets to be the maid. Gore!" Reader, This is the very plan that Roscuro presented to Mig when he first met her. It was, of course, a ridiculous plan. No one would ever, not for one blind minute, mistake Mig for a princess, or a princess for Mig. But Miggery Sow, as I pointed out to you before, was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And reader, too, she wanted so desperately to become a princess. Oh, she wanted. Oh, and how she wanted. And it was because of this terrible wanting that she was able to believe in Roscuro's plan with every ounce of her heart. That the rat's real plan was, in a way, more simple and more terrible. He intended to take the princess to the deepest, darkest part of the dungeon. He intended to have Mig put chains on the princess's hands and her feet. And he intended to keep the glittering, glowing, laughing princess there in the dark forever.